Hi guys, I'm Katrina. This is my channel, Katrina's Creations. A lot of you have been asking how I make this crochet granny stroke virus blanket. I am going to show you a video now on how I do it. This is one that I finished yesterday, and this is one that I am working on at the moment. This is going to be a larger one for my bed, so I've got a few of these already made up. For video tutorial purposes, I was going to do this, one of these ones, but I'm going to do it with a different colours instead of using these ones, because I want to do a slightly different pattern and show you different things with it. So that's what I'm going to be showing you now. So I'm trying to work out a way of recording a tutorial with an iPad on a stand. So at the moment, this is how I'm set up, and I've had to put a makeshift stand there to try and hold it with my lamp because it keeps tipping forward. So yeah, I'm going to try and get the best possible position, and then I will show you what I am going to be doing with this. So I'll be right back. Hi guys, and welcome to this video tutorial. I am going to show you how I do the virus motif with the granny around it, where you can make this into a blanket. This one is just going to be squares. I've got another 6 of these to do to make a bedspread. This yarn used for this square here is Aran weight. If you're in the US, that's worsted weight yarn, and I used a 5.5mm hook for this one. I'm not using Aran weight today. Today I am using DK, so I'll just get that out the way. Today I will be using Baby Care by Woolcraft DK. That's a 100g ball. And also I've got some of this left over. I've got a couple of balls of this, so I thought I'd use this to go with it. This is the Aldi So Crafty 100g of yarn. They're both 100% acrylic, which is, I prefer using it on baby items anyway. So if you're doing this for a baby blanket, 100% acrylic is perfect. So with this today, I'm also going to be using a 5mm hook. 5mm is my preferred size hook that I use with double knit, even though if you do check the label, it does say I'm sure it says 4mm hook. Yeah, 4mm, but I prefer to use a 5. So it's up to you what size hook you want to use, but obviously use the size hook with the corresponding yarn. This will work in any yarn as well. So we are going to make a start, and the first colour that we will be working with is going to be the blue. So if you want to get your bits ready and meet me back here in a second, and I will get myself sorted, and we will start with the virus motif part of the blanket. I'll see you back here in a second. So I'm back and I'm ready to get started. So obviously you will need your crochet hook, your yarn, scissors for snipping when you get to that part. And so now I am going to be doing this video tutorial on the basis that you already know how to crochet. I will explain as much as I can as I'm going along, but it will be easier if you already know how to actually crochet. So yeah, if you already know how to crochet, this is perfect for you. If you're a beginner, I would say work on a few things first before you do this, because I'm probably not the best teacher. So yeah, here we go. So we are going to start with a slip knot. And once you've got your slip knot, you are going to chain 6. So get your slip knot. I do apologise beforehand with the way that it's being recorded. I've had to prop the stand up so that my iPad is recorded and I can actually see that my hands are in view. It is really, really awkward. but you guys want this, so I'm going to do my best. So here we go. So you've done your slip knot on your hook, and we need to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then you want to join and turn this into a circle. So you want to join into your first chain and you're going to slip stitch. So pull through one and the other one, and that's your slip stitch, and then you've got a circle. So you are going to be working inside this circle. If your stitches are looser and you want to do less chains, that's totally up to you. Or if you know a different way of starting off the virus motif, you can go ahead and do it that way. It should probably work because it's all based on multiples of 10 anyway. So that is your first part. Now we need to do your next row. So we are going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and now you want to work 19 double crochets, which is US terms. If you're in the UK, this is 19 trebles. So you want to work 19 double crochets into this circle. Once you have finished, you will have 20 stitches in total, and that includes this chain 3. So this chain 3 is your first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Also, I should have said this in the beginning, I always work in my loose end as I'm going around. I did forget, I'm so sorry. So yeah, if you can work in that loose end as you're going around, it will help secure it. So that was 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19. So if we count these now, we should have 20 stitches, including your chain 3. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 and 20. So you've got your 20 stitches, and you want to join into that first chain 3 with a slip stitch. So you chain into the top, not chain, sorry. Go into the top of the chain 3, the third chain, pull through and pull through. So that's your slip stitch, and that is your circle. And this I secure at the end. Once I've finished doing what I need to do with it, I'd sew it in a few more times and secure it so I know that it's not coming out. Now we're going up on to the next row. So once again, we need to chain 3. Chaining 3 is your first stitch, counts as your first stitch while we're working on this. So 1, 2 and 3. Now once you've chained 3, you need to then double crochet into that same space as your chain 3. And then you are going to do 2 double crochets into each stitch around this circle, and then that will double up your stitches. So by the time you've done this row, you'll have 40 stitches. So double crocheted where I did the chain 3. Now we need to do 2 in every stitch. So that's 2, in that one, and 2 in this one. So it is quite simple, and it's such a repetitive pattern that you kind of know what you're doing. I know many people that have done virus shawls have done them over and over again because it's such a simple pattern, but it looks so beautiful when it's finished. So it is nice to see something else just than the plain virus. Sorry about the barking. My crazy dogs are here as usual. Right, so from what I've worked out with this pattern, you can do as many repeats of the virus as you want and add the granny stitches onto it, and it should still work out perfectly fine. I've only ever done it 2 ways myself. I'm going to show you a different way today, otherwise the tutorial will actually take forever, because as you can see I'm not the fastest crocheter. So keep going all the way around, 2 stitches in each of the previous 1 stitch from the row below. So as I've said, in the UK this is trebles. In the US, which is the terminology I use, it's a double crochet. So I hope you can see this okay. Right, so into the last stitch, 2 double crochets, and then we want to join to the top of that 3 chain with a slip stitch. So into that 3rd chain, pull through and pull through. So now we have 40 stitches. If you haven't got 40 stitches, you need to go back and check. You should have 40 stitches, and you need your 40 stitches for this to be working out correct. So now this row is slightly different. We are going to be doing chain spaces in between each stitch. This is going through the same sort of repeats with the virus, even though we haven't got the big loops on it yet. It's the same pattern basis, 1 row of double crochet, 1 row with another lot of double crochet, and then another row with the double crochet and the chain spaces in between. So instead of chaining 3 this time as your first stitch, you are going to be chaining 4. That chain 4 counts as your first double crochet and a chain 1. So you've got 4. Obviously you've already worked your first stitch because your chain 3 is there. You need to now do 1 double crochet into every stitch around with a chain 1 in between. So here we go. So into the first stitch, double crochet, chain 1, second stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. If you've done virus before, you completely understand what is going on and may finish the row before I do. If you do, you can, if you want, skip ahead and complete the next lot of repeats if you know them. If you want to wait, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, it depends on how many pattern repeats you want for this. But this is just the what's the word for it? This is the starting of, see, and I messed up there, I didn't do a chain 1. So this is how you start the virus off, and you need this to get it going in the way you want it. Make sure you get them chain 1s in between, guys. It is an easily mistake that's done. I do it all the time. It's lucky I realised then and not 10 rows down the line. Right, so I'm going to finish up this row and I will meet you at the end. Hi guys, so I've got to the end of that row. What you're going to do now is you are going to do a slip stitch into the third chain of your beginning chain. Now remember that first chain on this row was a chain 4, so you've got to make sure you do it in the third chain, which is on mine, it is there. So we've now slip stitched and closed that round. It's now time to start the building blocks, if you would, for your virus part of the motif now. So this time it is different. There's no double crochets this row. It's going to be chains and single crochets. So for your first part, you want to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now the way that this works is you're working in between every other stitch. So you'll have 2 stitches and then you'll work, then 2 stitches and then you'll work in that gap. So this is what we're doing here. So your first chain is a chain 5. You want to skip this gap and work into the next gap here, or space, chain space should I say, not gap, and single crochet. So you've chained 5 and you've skipped a chain space, and the next chain space you've worked a single crochet, and that gives you that little sort of like bridge look there. Now we want to chain 3. So 1, 2 and 3. Miss a chain space, single crochet in the next. Repeat that again. 1, 2 and 3. Miss a chain space, single crochet in the next. And again, 1, 2 and 3. Miss a chain space, single crochet in the next. So you've got a chain 5 and 3 chain 3s. Now we're going to go back onto our chain 5s. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Miss a chain space, single crochet in the next. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Miss a chain space, single crochet in the next. Now this is, if you look at it like that, you can see how this is going to work. So you've got your 3 little ones there, and on the corner you'll have 2 big ones. And you want to do this all the way around to the other side. So here we go again. Chain 3. Miss a chain space, single crochet in the next. And chain 3 again. Miss a space, single crochet in the next. Once more, chain 3. Miss a space and single crochet in the next. Once you've done your 3 chain 3s, then you know it's back to your chain 5 for your corner. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Miss a space, single crochet in the next. And 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Miss a space, single crochet in the next. So chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Miss a space, single crochet in the next. 1, 2 and 3, miss a space, single crochet in the next, oops, and we're going to go back to the corner again. So I am going to stop here. I'm going to finish off and meet you back over to the last chain 5, and then I'll show you how to finish off this row. So hi guys, on that last chain 5 now. So this is, I don't know if this is right, but this is just how I work it. I just, as before with all the other stitches, I just miss that chain space, go into the next and single crochet. And then that is the end of our building row for our virus. So we're now going to go on to building this up, working into all of these chain spaces around the motif. So obviously we're in between the stitches here and we need to get in here. So we are going to, if I can get in the right place, yeah, slip stitch into that first chain 5 space, and you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2 and 3. And now this part of the virus motif, these chain 5 spaces are worked in multiples of 10. So you will need to complete 10 double crochets into each 5 chain space. So saying that, I've already got my first one because the chain 3 counts as your first stitch. So we are now going to work 9 double crochets into this chain 5 space. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. I think that's right. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep, there's 10 stitches in there, including your chain 3. So now the next stage is we've got to get over to the next chain 5 space, and to get there we are going to use the chain 3s that we made in the previous row. So in the first chain 3, right next to where you've done your 10 double crochets, you want to do a single crochet. So just 1 single crochet there. Then we're going to chain 3. So chain 3, and in the next chain 3 space, we're going to single crochet. And then chain 3 again. And in the last chain 3 space, we are going to single crochet. So that has helped you carry yourself over from one to the next chain 5 space. And we don't need to work a slip stitch in there. We can just double crochet straight into that space. So we need to do 10 in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Let's make sure that's right. 2, 4, 6. Oh no, it wasn't. I was 1 up, so that makes 10. Yeah, so I've got 10 stitches in there. Now we're going to go straight in to this chain 5 space here and do 10 double crochets. So straight over and work 10 double crochets into this chain 5 space as well. So that's 2, 3, 4, sorry, my yarn is tangled. So I'm a centre puller and it vomited on me, so still a bit of a mess at the side. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So I always like to double check. So 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. I always like to double check my stitch count because you don't want to surprise a couple rows down the line and you have to pull it all out, as that is a pain in the bum. So we're now back to our chain 3 spaces across here. So as before, we go straight into the first one and we single crochet. Then we chain 3 into the next chain 3 space again and single crochet. Chain 3 again into the last chain 3 space and single crochet. So now we are back to another corner. If yours doesn't lay flat, I wouldn't worry too much. Once you've got your granny part on and you've finished it, it will need blocking, but don't worry too much if it doesn't lay flat, because mine don't, but once I've blocked them, they are fine. So onto this corner now. So once again, 10 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we've done that 10. We need to now go into the next chain 5 space and work another 10 double crochet. So this pattern is basically repeating continuously the whole way round, and you will get used to it. It becomes normal. It's like doing a granny square. After a while, you know where the stitches go and what place and how many. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. I think that's 10. Why did that just do that? Let me just double check. 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. So yeah, we've got the 10 for that side. Once again, going into the chain 3 spaces, and we want to single crochet in first, chain 3, then single crochet in second, chain 3, single crochet in the third, and then back to your corner, and you will do your 10 double crochets into the corners. So 10 double crochet into the first chain 5 space, then a straight 10 double crochet into the next chain 5 space. Then you will work your chain 3 spaces as I've shown you before, and then into the last chain 5 space. So once I've got round and I've got to here, I will then show you how I finish this row off, and then we will start on the next row. I'm back and I'm at the end of that row. As you can see, mine doesn't lay flat. Any of them that I've done doesn't lay flat until they've been blocked. So I just want to reassure people that they don't always lay flat. So I haven't joined yet. So I've done my 10 into the last corner part of that row, and I now want to join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. So the third chain of the chain 3 I did at the beginning of this row. So, and you're joining with a slip stitch. So the next row is basically near enough the same as what you did in this row. You are going to chain 3, and you are going to double crochet into every double crochet from the previous row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that's your 10 stitches. I miscounted there. I got a bit worried then. Right, so you've got your 10 stitches which you've worked in from the previous 10 stitches of the row before. We're now going over to our chain free spaces. We now only have 2 of them. So as the row before, you single crochet straight into the first chain free space. You chain 3 and single crochet into the next chain free space. So if you look at that now, you've had 3, then you've reduced to 2, now you've reduced to 1. So on your next row, there's only 1 chain free space. You now need to do your corner. So it's 10 stitches for each, but in total it's 20. So that's 20 double crochet in total. Straight over from the last single crochet worked, go straight in and work your double crochets into every double crochet from the previous row. If you are in the UK, it is trebles. Sorry, I know it does confuse some people. I just prefer the US terms. If I am working too fast, you can always pause the video and replay it. I don't think I crochet very fast though, but you never know. So you're working every one of those stitches all the way over. So, and the last one, and that is your 20 stitches there for that corner done. Now going to work back into those chain threes. So single crochet in the first, chain 3 and a single crochet in the last, then back over to this corner to work your double crochets. So you need to repeat those steps all the way around till the last set of double crochets, and once again you are going to be joining to the top of the 3 chains, so the 3rd chain here at the beginning of your row with a slip stitch. So I am going to finish that row off and I will meet you back here and we will do the last row of the virus motif, and then we will be going on to the granny part. So I'll meet you back here in a second. So I am at the end of that row. We are now going to start the last row of the virus 4 row repeat. So we are going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain of at the beginning. So the 3 chain that you did at the beginning, you now want to do a slip stitch into that 3rd chain. So that's your slip stitch, and now you, as before with these rows, this last row you did your double crochets and your chain 1 spaces, and we are going to be doing the same thing on this last row now, on the 4th row. So we want to, instead of chaining 3 this time, we want to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and you are going to double crochet into every double crochet and with a chain 1 in between. So we've done a chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet, and chain 1 for the space. So into the next we want to double crochet and chain 1. In the next, double crochet and chain 1. Double crochet in the next, chain 1. More fingers and thumbs today. Right, so double crochet, chain 1, next stitch, and we double crochet and we chain 1. Double crochet, chain 1. Double crochet, chain 1. This will be your last double crochet. Yeah. So if your stitch count is right, it will be exactly the same amount as double crochets. So you should always, on these corners, there should always be 20. So we've got our first half of that, which is 10. So we've got, including the chain 3, 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. Now we go into the chain 3 spaces, but this time we are not going to work into that chain 3 space. We are going to double crochet straight over into the first double crochet of the next corner. With this, when we go over, this is the only place in this row that you do not chain 1. So it is just, so after that last double crochet, you just do another double crochet straight over the other side. There's no chain 1 between them stitches there. And chain 1 again, and then you do the second corner. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. Crocheting at a table is not very comfortable. Right. Yeah, chain 1, so double crochet, chain 1, and we want to do this all the way round. Making sure you get those chain 1s in between. Chain 1s are important, especially with the granny part coming up. You need your chain spaces. And you also need to make sure that you do have the right stitch count, because if you don't have the right stitch count at this point, your granny part won't sit right once you add it, and you'll see why once I show you the granny part of this, which is the virus way for everyone knows how to do the virus bit. They know how to do the granny. It's just putting it together. And I have an idea for another sort of blanket like this as well. Right, so that's the corner. You should have 20 stitches. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 and 20. Now you want to, once again, no chain space after that last double crochet. You just want to go straight over to the double crochet on the next corner, over here, and again double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet and chain 1. So you want to do that all the way around. So your double crochets and your chain 1s, and then once you get to where the chain 3 space is, there's no chain there, you just go straight over, double crochet and chain 1 on the corners all the way around. So I am going to pause the video here. I'm going to continue till we get to this last bit here, and I will pick the video back up once we are back to that first chain 3 space here. So I will see you in a moment. So we are at the end of the 4th pattern repeat row. We are going to join to that chain 3, the 3rd chain of this first stitch here. Remember, we did a 4 chain at the beginning, so make sure it is in the 3rd chain at the top. And then I am going to change colours. You don't have to change colours. I'm changing colours for the purpose of the video, so that I don't sit here and go over the same thing with you guys over and over again. If you want more of a virus repeat, you can carry on. So I'll show you this, for example. This one here, you can see the centre one, and there's the corner ones. I could try and get it in, it's awkward. Right, so where am I? Your centre's here, and then we've got 1, 2, 3 pattern repeats, which I've done on here, and then the granny. So if you want to do something like that, where you want to have more of the virus showing in your project that you're working on, you can continue with that. You just follow the exactly what I've shown you for these rows here. So from eliminating the first bit, obviously, but with the corners. So if you was to carry on with your virus now, and you was here, you would chain 5 again, and then you're skipping a chain space and single crochet in that one, and then your chain 3s, and you would follow the pattern all the way around. But for the tutorial, doing this video, I've stopped because I want to show you how you connect your how you do the granny part. Otherwise we would be here for a very long time. So I've cut off and left myself with a tail one pulled through. I am now going to be joining my white, and I am going to join it to the same corner that I just finished on. So slip knot. Right, so this is where it can get confusing, because this was confusing for me. So you know, each corner consists of 20 stitches. We want to get in between stitch 10 and in between stitch 11 to join our yarn. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So obviously you can see that is the first stitch, and this is the last one of the previous round. So we want to be joining in this space here. So make sure it's in between stitch 10 and in between 10 and 11. So I've already done a slip stitch. I'm not saying this is how you should join your projects. Everyone joins differently. I join like this, and then I go back afterwards and secure. So slip stitch that on. So now we are going to be doing the granny part of this blanket, so you can see how it works up, how it's done, where you put each block of stitches. So we want to chain 3, and this counts as our first stitch as before. Keep these bits out of the way. I would normally, when crocheting, I would normally crochet in the loose ends. But I don't with this because I like to secure them. I like to tie them again to make sure that they're definitely secure. And also with it being the granny part, you can see the yarn lying on top of the stitches there. So I did do it at first and I didn't like it, so I pulled them out and then secured them differently. So right, we've done chain 3. Now this is going to be a corner. In a corner of a granny, you know you have 3 double crochets or 3 trebles, chain space, and then another 3. But obviously we're working on 1/2. So for this, we want to just do 2 double crochets in here. Let me just pull that out of the way. So hopefully you are seeing this okay. So I've got a chain 3 and you want to double crochet a further 2. So that is 1/2 of your corner in that stitch. Now to the next stitch. This is the bit that I didn't understand, but it works out. This is how it works. Right. We want to do another cluster of 3 trebles. I'll just call them clusters from now. Not that they are, but you know what I mean. So instead of missing a space, which we would normally, we are going to go straight into the next chain space next to that. So we want to do a cluster in here. So that is 3 double crochet into this chain 1 space here. Then let me just move this yarn over here. Right, now it is going to be a cluster in every other chain space. So it's only the corner ones that you'll see them right next to each other like that, and it's only on this very first foundation row. So now we are going into this one. So we're going to miss this chain space, and then we're going to go into this chain space, and we're going to do another cluster of 3 double crochets or 3 trebles. So 1, 2 and 3, and then again miss a space and into the next, and you do another cluster of 3 double crochets. Miss a space again and into the next, and 3 double crochet. Miss a space and into this space here. So again, 3 double crochets. So this time you're missing a space, but it's not a chain space, it's a space in between the stitches from the previous row, and that's the space where you didn't do a chain. So we're going to miss that space and then into the chain space next to that. So you just do this every other chain space. You should never have a cluster of double crochets in between here. This, in any blanket that you do with this virus and granny, no matter how many virus repeats you've done, you should never ever do a row and have a cluster of 3 double crochets in this space here between the corners. If that happens, you've gone wrong somewhere. You might have to go back and recount. So we're working over the next corner now. So once again, you miss a space and cluster into the next chain space. And again, miss a space and a 3 double crochet, cluster into the next chain space. miss a space and into the next chain 1 space, and then 3 double crochets. Right, so you're going to miss a space, 3 double crochets into this space, but this is the bit that's slightly different to the rest of it. So you need to make sure that your corner of your granny part falls in between stitch 10 and stitch 11. So when you're looking to count up your stitches, you'll notice that the first stitch is kind of on its own here. So remember that that is a stitch here. Don't forget that that's a stitch there. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. This is why you work that extra bit there. So you need to do in this 10th space, so right next to the last cluster, the next space after, you need to 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet in the same chain space, and that makes your corner. And you can see it there. Then we want to repeat that all the way over to the second corner. So, but before we go back into that, we need to make sure that we do a cluster of 3 double crochets right next to that corner in this space here. So make sure you do not forget the corner bits, because it will mess up your stitch count. So 3 double crochet there. It does make the corner look a bit crowded, but once you've added the rest of the rows, it spreads it out a bit, so it's not so bad. So that is your first corner complete. So now we are going to go back to doing 3 double crochets, clusters into the spaces, but remember we're leaving a chain space now. So we're going back to how we was working before. So miss a chain space. In the next, you want to 3 double crochet. And then miss one. In the next, 3 double crochet. I do apologise if this is not like the perfect video tutorial. This, you'll find, will probably be my first and last video tutorial. I'm not very good at teaching, I don't think so. I'm just showing you guys how I do this. So again, you want to miss a space and go into the next and do 3 double crochets. Miss a space and into the next, 3 double crochets. Miss that middle space and then 3 double crochets into the next. So you can probably see how this is working up and know how we're going to do the rest of it, but I will continue to show you the whole row, because it can be quite confusing. So this is it so far. But yes, so we will continue. So miss a chain space, 3 double crochet into the next. And again, miss a space, and then 3 double crochet into the next. Miss a space, and then 3 double crochet into the next. miss a space and 3 double crochet into the next. Right, so that should 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep, so that brings us to the corner part of this. So this is stitch 10, this is stitch 11, so we want to be working our corner into this space here. So once again, 3 double crochet, you want to chain 2 and then 3 double crochet. So you've got another corner there. Then once again straight into that next chain space next to it to complete that corner. So 3 double crochet in here. And that is your corner complete. Now we'll go back to skipping a chain space and working in the next. So remember, miss that space here and then work 3 double crochets into the next space. And again, miss 1 and work in the next. Once you've got the hang of it, it is very simple. Miss 1 and 3 double crochet into the next. Miss 1, 3 double crochet into the next. Then you want to miss that center bit in between the 2 corners, and you want to work into this one here. So once again, 3 double crochets in there. Then miss a space and 3 double crochets into here. Miss a space, 3 double crochets, miss a space and 3 double crochets. So I think that brings us up to our next corner. I'll just count that. 2, 4, 6, 8. No, it doesn't. One more. So into this one here. So you missed a space, went into the next chain 1 space, 3 double crochet. Then you want to, in the next chain 1 space again, because this is your corner, you want to 3 double crochet, chain 2, and then 3 double crochet in that same chain 1 space again. Then you want to you want to do 3 double crochets in the chain 1 space next to that to complete your corner. So 1, 2, and 3. See, still doesn't lay flat. Right, so the last stretch is worked exactly the same as the rest of it. So we are going back to missing a chain space and working in the next. So 3 double crochets in here. Miss 1 and work 3 double crochets in the next. Miss one and work 3 double crochets in the next. Miss one again. In the next, work your cluster of 3, and then once again, once you've done that cluster, you are left with that gap there, which is in between the corners. We don't work in that one, we skip that one and we work in the next one. And then you skip one, work in the next one, skip one, work in the next, skip one, work in the next, skip one, work in the next, and then to finish off, you've got to that last corner. Remember, you only did the first half of the corner, so you need to complete another 3 double crochets in this space. Excuse me. So we go straight into that next space here, and we do 3 double crochets. Sorry if you can hear that, my son's upstairs singing. So you've got that, and then you need to chain 2, join to the top of that chain 3 at the beginning, and slip stitch. And that is the foundation row for your granny part of this motif. So I'm going to pause that there, I'll be back in a second. So we have now completed the first row of the granny segment of this blanket. So now we are going to do the next row of the granny stitch. Now whenever I do this, I always do 6 rows. It's just a nice block to have. So I do the 6 rows, and I haven't tried it any other way. It works with the 6 rows. I don't know if I did less rows whether it would still work. I haven't messed about with it that much yet to find out if it would work. So as you know, when you're doing a granny square, you need to turn your work and work back the way you just worked to make sure that you don't get that bit of slanting with your square. So we've just finished here. This was my last stitch. So I need to work back this way. So in doing that, you need to turn your work to the wrong side. Don't worry about these loose ends, they will be secured. So you are now working on the run. If you don't want to work on the wrong side, you don't have to, but your work will slant, and that happens. That's one of the most asked questions I see about granny squares, is why is my granny square not really a square? It's because you need to turn your work after every row and work back the way you just came. So I get back to here. This is just how I do it. I'm not saying you have to do it this way. If you find a better way to do it, feel free to change it. But this is just how I do it. So I'm in that corner. I joined to the top of this chain 3 here, but I need to work back this way. So once again, I need to do the first half of my corner here. So what I do is I slip stitch back into that chain space there, and then I chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Then you want to complete that cluster by doing another 2 double crochets in the same space. So we do 2 double crochets, and that gives you your cluster of 3 because you are including that first chain 3. So now, as typical, there's nothing really to follow or complicated about the rest of this round on this pattern. You are basically doing 3 double crochets into every space. So if you remember, these were the corners here, and you did the corners a bit differently to how you did everything else, but it still applies here. So you are doing your 3 double crochet cluster into that space between the 2 clusters of the previous row and into every space along. So this is just how you do your grannies normally anyway. So it's pretty simple from this point onwards where the granny part is concerned. So you're just working your 3 double crochets into every space along until you get to the corner. Once you get to the corner, it's 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets. So I will work until that corner, and then I will let you guys go off and get your 6 rows, and then we will come back at the end of row 6 of your granny, and I will show you how to go back from the granny back into the virus part so that you can alternate in between, make up your own pattern sort of thing of how you want to do it. There's no set way. As you can see, with just doing 1 repeat of the virus, it still works with the granny. So you could do as many rows of the granny bit as you want, and then just do 1 set of 6 rows of granny for a border. It depends how you want to do it. You can just fit it to how you would like it, if you get what I mean, which is what I like about this. Just play around with the colours and different thicknesses of yarn. And even though these first couple of rows are a bit wavy because of the virus pattern underneath, but it does even itself out. So you don't have to worry about that. It does even itself out, and you will see that in time once you work it. So once again, we're back over to another corner. So we want to go into that first space between the 2 clusters here and just 3 double crochet like you have been doing. And then again in the corner, you want to cluster 3 double crochets. But don't forget, this is a corner, so you need to make another corner. So you've done your 3 double crochets. I always chain 2. Once again, if you want to chain 1 or you chain 3, it's up to you. Just work it how you would normally work it. I'm just giving you a rough view of how they're put together sort of thing. I'm not saying it's the Bible and you have to follow it exactly. It is what it is. You can do what you want to do with it. So there is your next corner completed. So once again, I am going to carry on working this, and I am going to complete 6 rows of the granny square. Once I get to the end of the 6th row, I will come back and show you how we go from there. So that is basically, this is just it. It's just simple. You're just working your way round and you're doing 3 double crochets into each space. It's only that very first row that you really have to take note of. And also remember, after every row that you flip your work and you work back the way that you just came. So you're basically just going over yourself sort of thing. If you continue to work it on one side in rounds, it will go slanted. You do need to turn your work. And it looks better like that, I think, anyway. but it's completely up to you. So we are coming up to the next corner, so I'll show you this last corner again, and then I will leave you guys to complete your rows. Once you get up to row 6, I will then show you how to go back into your virus motif, and it is slightly different to how you would normally do it to make it fit, if you get what I mean. So it's just once you get the hang of them and you know exactly what you're doing, it becomes normal. I'm not working from a pattern, I just know it in my head. This will be my pattern. If I ever forget it, I can just watch my own video. So here we go again, back into those tight corners. So you want to do 3 double crochet in that first space between the clusters. Then we are going over into the corner and we want to make another corner. So once again, we are doing a cluster of 3 double crochets. Then you want to chain 2 and another cluster of 3 double crochets. And this is your second corner complete once again. So remember to work the corners as I showed you. If you do it as how I've showed you, you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. But do remember, once that you've finished this row and you come up to the last corner and you join, that you turn your work and work back the other way, and you do turn it round after every single row of the granny portion of this segment. So I'm going to pause it there, and I'm going to come back at the end of row 6 and show you how we then go back from working from the grannies back into the virus motif. So I will be back in a moment. So I'm back and I have completed my 6 rows in the granny square motif, as you can see around. I have already fastened off. I am now going to join the blue to do the virus motif around here and show you how you go back from doing this back to the virus. I will say to make sure that you are working on the right side of your work. This is the right side of the virus and that's the wrong side. Obviously your granny motif is right side, wrong side, right side, wrong side. So there's no really wrong side or right side for that one, but this there is. So, and I am going to join back into the last corner that I finished. So let's do a slip knot. And then join here. So slip stitch that into place and pull, tighten, and then you want to, instead of like we did before, we had these as chain 5s, because we are going over clusters, we are going to be doing instead, if I try and show you on this one. Oh no, I can't show you on this one. Right, so we are going to so chaining 5 and we're here, we are going to chain 7. So you're going to do an extra 2 chains to what you previously did down here. Now this is the only time that we do this differently, and that is the row where you're changing from this granny motif back to the virus. Any other time that you're doing your virus motif, you would do the normal chain 5s and chain 3s. But this row is slightly different, obviously, because you're missing clusters and you need more of more room sort of thing. So chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, just checking that was right. And you are going to skip the first 2 clusters. So you skip 2 and you go here and you single crochet. Then you want to chain 4 and then you skip 1 cluster and chain 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. And then single crochet, skip a cluster, and then single crochet. Do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we want to work into that next space there. So you can already see chain 7, chain 4, chain 4, chain 4. It's the same sort of idea as before, it's just a slightly different number of chains. So we're going to continue that all the way round. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then you get to this, sorry, you need to skip 2 clusters on a 7 chain. So you've skipped 2 and you go into the next space and single crochet. And then again, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, single crochet in the next space. 1, 2, 3, and 4, single crochet in the next space. Once again, we are going to chain 7 to do the next chain 7 bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Skip 2 clusters and single crochet in the next space. Then chain 4, single crochet into the next space. Chain 4 again. Single crochet into the next space. Chain 4 again. Single crochet into the next space. And then we get back to the corner. So we're at the first corner. So what we do here, and you will see it's really no different, it's just the chains that are different on this row, and it's only this row. Once you come back, once you want to change back to virus, it's this row that the counts are different. Every other row is exactly the same as before. So here we chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Single crochet in that corner and then chain 7 again. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Skip 2 and single crochet in that space. And you want to do that all the way around until you get back to that corner. So just do this side with you again, and then I will finish off the rest of it and come back. So continue with this side. So chain 4, so that's 4, and into the next space you want to single crochet. Then chain 4 again, so that's 2, 3, and 4. Single crochet in the next space. 1, 2, 3, 4. Single crochet in the next space. So it is the same sort of as before. So now we're going to do 7 again. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, skip 2 clusters right here, and you go into this one here and single crochet, chain 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and single crochet in the next, 1, 2, 3 and 4, single crochet in the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, single crochet in the next. You will go back to your chain 7 again. So this is just your building blocks sort of to start your virus part again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, single crochet there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and join there with a single crochet, chain 4 again, so that's 3 and 4, join with a single crochet, one more time, 3 and 4, join with a single crochet here, and then we'll go back to your corner and chain 7s again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, single crochet in that corner, and then chain 7 again. So 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, skip 2 clusters and single crochet again. So the pattern, as you can see, is you have your corners, chain 7, single crochet in the corner, chain 7, single crochet, chain 4, single crochet in the next, chain 4. So you can see the pattern's the same. So if you work your way all the way round until you get to the finish, and I will pick up back here and show you what to do next. So see you in a second. So I am back at the last corner, 5, 6 and 7, and you just join that into there with a single crochet. So that is the basis to start you back off with your virus motif again. I will do a part of this row, but that is basically all you'll need, because I've shown you how to do the virus here and it is exactly the same. The only row that's different with the virus pattern is this first row here when you're coming back from doing the granny motif and you're going into the virus. This is the only bit that's different. Everything else is the same. So from here, I'm going to slip stitch into this space here and chain 3. And then as before, you need 10 double crochets in here. So you've already got your first one because you chained 3, so now you need 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and you've got 10 stitches on there. And then you want to go to here and single crochet. So this is your first chain 4 space, and you single crochet into that. Now, as before, we're going to travel over to get to the next space. So as we did the chain 4 before, like I said, that's the only row where it's different. So this, you go back to chaining 3. So you chain 3, single crochet into that chain 4 space, chain 3 again, single crochet into that chain 4 space. You literally just do those extra chains just so that it's not so tight and scrunched up. So everything else, like I said, is exactly the same as it would be for a normal pattern. So into this chain 7 space, and you want to do 10 double crochets into here. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So let me just double check. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Once again, you do the same thing. You go into here and you single crochet, then you chain 3, single crochet, chain 3 into that last chain 4 space and single crochet. So as you can see, nothing else with the pattern has changed. It is exactly the same as for the way that I explained it in the first bit, and most people do know already how to do the virus stitch, but if you don't, just follow my instructions for this first piece and carry on with that, and that's basically all there is to it. So it's not really a proper tutorial, I'm just showing you how I do it, and that's basically it. It's quite simple. Once you get the hang of it, it's just like doing a normal granny square. You just do it because you know how to do it. You don't have to sit and think about it. So yeah, I'm going to leave that here for now. You just carry on with your 10 double crochets and doing your stitches there, and remember the next row after it's only that one row here where we're building up for the virus that's different. Everything else is the same as how I showed you on this one. So I hope that you liked that video. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, I'm sorry. I tried my best. It has been kind of awkward trying to film this, but I've managed to do it, and now you guys will kind of get the gist of how to do it. Like I said, I have got another hybrid blanket in mind that I'm going to be working on soon as well. So for now, that is it. I will get this one finished and put pictures up when this one is done. But I hope this tutorial has helped a lot of people that was asking for the pattern, and I did promise I would do a video, and I have done a video. I know it's not the best quality, but until I get a decent camera, this I have to do for now. So that is it for me. If you have any questions, just post them in the description. I will try to explain as much as I possibly can if I've missed anything in this video. And yeah, make sure that you come along and see me on Facebook and Instagram, and any finished projects that you've done using this, tag me so that I can see what you've done, how you've done it, what colours you've used. It's always nice to see when other people are working on the same sort of thing. So yeah, that's going to be it for now. I'm going to go finish editing this video and upload it so that you guys finally get to see how the virus stroke granny blanket is done. So anyway, take care everyone, and happy hooking.